What the hell is up, guys? It is XTR, and we are back, and we're talking about why aggressive plays can win games. And we're going to talk about aggressive play for a bit, when you can use it, where you should use it, and when not to use it specifically. Because there are a lot of people that just get way too aggressive, they run in, they die, they leave their team in a shitty position, and I'm going to try and teach you how to not be that type of player, because that shit is really annoying. You need to stop doing that if you are. So we're going to talk about the main uses of aggressive play. And yes, there is a use to playing aggressive. So I'm going to teach you what the main uses are. And the main uses are obviously going to be getting information and securing rounds, and also to get a couple free picks potentially. Those are like the main uses for aggressive play. Now, one of the reasons getting informational plays with aggressive play is so strong is because you can push all the way into, let's say, A site Haven, and you can push all the way down through into catwalk and short and whatnot. And you can kind of just sit there, right? And that gives your team the information that they're not going to be anywhere in that area, and that they can stack their defenses in other areas that would be necessary. So usually it's used for information. And the reason why it's mainly used for information is when there is flank potential, like they have a Cypher or a Killjoy, it's a lot harder to actually push even deeper than, let's say, a site, short and whatnot. You can't really push past there 90% of the times, because there's always going to be some sort of flank shutdown there. But if there's not, this is where you have basically the go-ahead to actually get a little bit more aggressive and start putting pressure on their back line potentially. Now, one of the biggest problems I see is people will do this way too often, right? They'll get aggressive almost every opportunity that they have, and it really turns every round into kind of a guessing game. Like, you can't be getting aggressive every single round, because then the enemy team is going to start expecting it and they're going to start shutting you down. So, when should you be getting aggressive? So, some of the best times to make aggressive plays in terms of actually pushing through in past that flank potential is when they are actually putting pressure towards another area on the map. Now, if they're putting a lot of pressure, especially when they have flank shutdown, this is very, very dangerous, because if they notice you break that tripwire or that flank wire, what they may do is loop back around with their entire team and try and deal with you. That way, it gives them not only a free pick, but then they know that since you pushed in through A site, that there's probably nobody else on A site because you're pushed all the way in. So just be very careful when you're actually getting aggressive in this scenario. Now, it's very important that you are to some extent getting aggressive, because this is what separates kind of like the lower tier bomb site players from the better players, right? Is knowing when to get aggressive and actually being able to properly do so. And this is one of the big problems I see, like I was saying earlier in the video, is some people will just get aggressive whenever they get the chance to, right? Every single time they get the opportunity to get aggressive, you see them pushing in and making these over-aggressive, absurd plays that almost never work out, right? So you really got to be smart with this. If you know they're all staying and sitting outside of A site, don't push into A site. If you know that they're all just waiting for you to push in, don't do it. Because I see a lot of players that just push in over and over and over again. And when they're starting to become predicted, when people are starting to predict them, they still do it more and more. So understand the risk versus reward. Understand when you should be doing it. And understand that not every single round is a round where just because there's no presence in that area, you don't have to push through. At least all the way, right? Like, if you've been pushing through over and over and you're not getting punished, okay, that's a different story. If you want to push through and you're getting punished, but you still want to get aggressive in some way, you can still do it by just not following through all the way and pushing directly, like, as deep as you possibly can. You don't need to push extremely deep for no reason. And this whole time, we've mainly been talking about the defending side. And I'm probably going to make a separate video talking about it on the attacker side. But mainly for making aggressive plays on defense, when you are getting punished, tone it back. Tone it back to some extent, right? Like, if you are getting punished, don't push all the way back through into their backline, but instead maybe take a more aggressive position into a generally T-sided area that could be contested. Like, you know, A halls going into A short and A long on A site Haven. that is one of the places you can kind of just sit there and you can get information. You can feed information to your team the whole time. You can be like, yeah, they're not here. I push through. And then your team can rotate. And you're still doing your part by getting aggressive there. And then once and only once the enemy team has actually, started to attack a bomb site, you can actually get fully aggressive there and potentially get a pretty good flank off. Because once you are in that position on a site, you don't need to push any further once you get all that information, because you are a constant stream of information to your team at that point, because you are just sitting back there letting them know exactly what is happening on that entire side of the map, letting your team know that they do not need to be worried about it for the time being. So that's why getting information with an aggressive play is so strong. Now, you can play aggressively and not really have the goal of getting intel, right? You can play aggressively and go mainly for frags and picks, which is still very good. And this is specifically good when you have been getting shut down on defense and you don't really know what to do. Getting into their backline is one way to kind of turn the tides and help you guys win that round when you may be getting rolled when you were playing the defending side. So getting aggressive is very good and kind of shifting the tides and making your defending side just unpredictable. Because once you have gotten aggressive once, the enemy team is going to be worried about that constantly. So just instilling that fear is going to make them play a lot safer and make them play and basically just change the way they're playing the game, because they're going to have to be worried about you. But if you don't establish that aggression at all, then the enemy team kind of has free reign over the map and they can do whatever the hell they want. So this is why getting aggressive is actually really strong when played correctly. But that's also the danger of getting aggressive, right? Is giving them potentially a free pick in that much extra map control. So it's understanding the lines between when you are getting way too aggressive and when you aren't playing aggressive enough. And that's aggression, right? You need to understand when to do it and when not to do it. And I hope this video kind of helped you guys understand when and when not to actually do it. If it didn't, I'm fucking sorry, but it should have helped you at least get a little bit of insight. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. So bye.